In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to work with text in Cricut Design Space. Before I do, I will let you know that Cricut Design Space is not the best design program out there. There are other programs that you can use and create your files and then import them. But I always recommend learning how to work in Design Space first, and that includes learning how to work with the shortcomings in Design Space. And I'm going to actually show you one of the biggest shortcomings, one of the biggest frustratings, by adding some text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here. Now you'll notice when you add text, you get a second menu that drops under. So just to show you real quick, this is where you can change your font, the style, the font size, the letter space or line space, alignment. You can even add a curve if you want. And this is, there's a lot of fun things you can do with that. But that's not what I'm going to show you right now. What I'm going to show you is what happens if I change this to a cursive font. In the untrained eye, somebody without any knowledge of graphic design might not see this right away, but your projects will come out so much better when you recognize what's wrong with this text right here. And that's the kerning. That's the space between the letters. Because when you actually write something in cursive, it's not going to be individual letters like this. What it's going to look like is a single word that flows together. So the most obvious way to fix this problem would be to come up here to letter space and go down like so until it looks about right to you. Unfortunately, that doesn't always work perfectly with different fonts. You might have a cursive that has thinner letters, and then you have to get everything just right. So I don't recommend relying on letter space as the only way to adjust the kerning of your letters. The way I recommend you do it is to actually select the word and come over here to the menu on the right, click on Ungroup, and now each of your letters are individual layers. And so now you can move them around, but rather than moving them around with your mouse, the way I recommend to do it is to use the keyboard, the arrows on your keyboard, and just tap over until you get everything looking the way you'd like. So we're going to put everything together. Now we still have individual letters. And even if I'm going to change the color so you can see, the next step, we're not done yet. So it looks like a single word, except for the fact we still have individual letters that are going to cut. So to zoom in real close and show you, it's going to cut that line right there between the H and the E and the L. So it's not going to cut like a single word yet. What you need to do next is to actually weld this together, like so. And that is going to create a single word without the cuts in between the letters. However, if you notice, I messed up a little bit. Like the L's are not lined up just right. You can see it looks a little wonky. This is where my next tip comes in handy. I'm going to hit undo right now, but let's say I had just spent 10 minutes working on another part of the design. I would have to undo all of that work to get back to where I am right now to fix this. So when you select something and you attach them together, that groups them together, so they're a single file. But there's still individual layers within that layer, if that makes sense. If you weld it, it turns it into a single layer. You can notice the difference over here. Now the only way to unweld something is with that undo button. So what I recommend doing before you weld anything is to always make sure that it's attached, duplicate it, and then you want to hide the copy. And then you can go ahead and weld. And what's going to happen is if you go to make it, this is all you have. But if there's a problem that you need to go back and fix, you have a backup here. So I can go ahead and delete the copy that I messed up on. I can detach these letters, and now I can go in and I can adjust the L's by moving them in just a little bit more so they don't look so wonky. And I'm going to move the O just a little bit more, just like so. Okay, so now I'm going to attach, I'm going to duplicate and hide the copy, and then I'm going to weld this together. So now I have the single word hello, the kerning is right, it's all grouped together, and I'm not going to have any issues with this. I promise once you get that process down, it is very easy, it's second nature, and your designs and your projects are going to be so much better once you understand kerning and welding your letters together.